Hey darlings, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for coming by. So today I want to quickly share with you guys how to make this simple kimono. I made this with a net fabric, but you can use organza or any other fabric you wish to make this. It's very simple and easy to achieve. So without further ado, let's go into the tutorial. So for this, I'll be using a basic bodice pattern for it, both the front and the back piece. Now the neckline of the bodice was cut, the depth was cut at 4 inches while the width at 4.5 inches on fold. Now for the back piece, the width also is 4.5 inch and the depth is at 2 inches. So right here, the length of the basic bodice I'm using is about 25 inches. That is from the shoulder to the hip line. And I'm going to be extending the length of this basic bodice as we go on. Now we're going to be cutting out the front piece first, and we're going to be cutting on fold. To know the amount of fabric to fold out for this, you're going to divide your hip circumference into 4. Assuming you're using a hip circumference of 42 inches, you're going to divide it by 4, add 4 inches to it for creating a fullness below the full length of your kimono. Then you add additional 7 inches for creating the interface at the center front. Then you're also going to go ahead and add your seam allowance to that measurement. Now from the center front, you're going to measure in 7 inches you added for the interface and fold it in like this. You're going to fold in only 7 inches that you marked out for the interface. Now after you must have folded this in, as you can see I've done this here, you're going to notch this area right here and notch the area below here to know where your interface stops. So you're going to place your basic bodice on it like this, the front. As you can see right here, I still have my dart on my pattern. I'm not going to be sewing a dart on this kimono, neither am I going to remove the measurement for this dart because I'm going to use it to create more freeness to my kimono. Then the full length of the kimono I'm making is 40 inches, but I marked out 42 inches for my hemming allowance. So right here, to complete the length of the kimono, I'm first of all going to measure what I have here as the hip measurement. That is 1/4 of the hip measurement. I'm going to add that 4 inches we added while folding out the fabric. And I'm going to measure from the center front right here, and I'm going to mark whatever I have. And in this case, I'm going to be marking 14 inches. So right here, now that I've moved my tape to the lower part of my kimono, that's the full length area, you're going to be marking your full length right there at 14 inches since I added 4 inches additional to what you have as 1/4 of your hip measurement. Then add your seam allowance and connect the side seams together. Now after doing this, the next thing you're going to do is to trace the rest of your pattern from the neckline area, shoulder, armpit, and the other side seam area, and then you're going to cut it out. And when you're done, it should look something like this. And the next thing you're going to do is to notch this area, and this area, make sure you notch it because it's going to help you as we sew. Next, you're going to be cutting through the front piece of your kimono, the folded part. You're going to cut all through to the top area of your center front. Then you're going to open it up like this. Now you have 2 pieces for the front piece, the interface all cut together with the front pieces. Then you're going to set this aside. Now to cut out the back piece of your kimono, all you simply have to do is to fold out your fabric by dividing your hip circumference into 4 plus 4 inches to create the fullness at the lower part of your kimono. Then after doing that, you also add your seam allowance to that measurement. Then you're going to simply mark the full length as we did for the front piece, then connect from the hip line all the way to the full length. So right here, the next thing we are going to do is to cut out the back piece and set it aside. Next, I'm going to be cutting out the lining for the neck line of the back piece. To do this, I folded in 7 inches width, and the full length of this is 5 inches. So what I'm going to do right now is to place the back piece on the interface, and I'm going to cut out the shape of the neckline. and the shoulder area, and I'm going to set this aside. After cutting it, you should have something like this, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to give it a curve at the bottom line. Now over to sewing proper. So the first thing I'm going to do is to sew in the interface for the front piece, and this is the right side of my fabric. So you're going to fold in the neckline area, you're going to match in the neckline area for the front piece like this. Then you're going to stitch it by 1/4 inch all through the neckline area. Now after sewing this in, you make sure you notch these areas. After notching it, the next thing I'm going to do is to turn this to the right side of my fabric. I'm going to turn it in all the way to the right side of my fabric. Now after doing that, I have something like this, and this is the wrong side of my fabric. Now the next thing I'm going to do right now is to pin up the interface onto the main fabric along these areas. Now after pinning this up, I'm going to be folding in 1/2 inch like this inward all through the interface length and hold it down with a pin, and I'm going to stitch it all the way to the end. Now after stitching it, the front pieces are ready, and I'm going to set it aside. Now onto the back piece, to sew on the interface, I'm going to be placing it right side to each other. Then I'm going to sew it by the same 1/4 inch as I did for the front piece. After that, I'm going to notch these areas, and then after notching it, I'm going to quickly turn it over, flip the. Now after sewing the interfaces, the next thing is to join the bodies, both the back and the front side together. Now I laid the front side, the right side of the back piece, and I'm going to be placing the front piece on the back piece, right side to each other. Then I'm going to hem the lower part, join the shoulder seam, and then also the side seams together. And I'm going to set it aside to sew the sleeves. Now the full length of the basic sleeve I used was about 11.5 inches. Now to cut the lower part of the sleeve, which is a gathered flare, the full length is about 11.5 inches, and that includes 2 inches for hemming the lower part of the sleeve, and then 1/2 inch also for joining the lower part of the sleeve to the main sleeve. So the width here could be 3 times your round sleeve, and it is cut on fold. Now the final part of the sleeve is a piece I cut out for decoration purpose, and you can estimate the width of this with 3 times the measurement of your round sleeve, while the length is about 6 inches. So I'm going to start off with sewing it first, and to sew this, you are going to lay it right side, and then you're going to fold it in together into 2, right side together. Then you're going to stitch it with 1/2 inch along this area. Now after sewing it, you're going to turn it inside out like this. Now after turning this to the right side, you're going to be making a key split with the strip, and you're going to place it at the edge of the sleeve like this. Now as you observe, the pleat did not extend to where I'll be sewing the side seam of my sleeve. So now I'm going to stitch from the midpoint right here all the way to the end. So now I'm going to be placing my sleeve right side and sew my side seams together. Next, for the lower part of the sleeve, I'm going to first of all join the side seam, hem the lower part of this area, and then make a gather stitch along the other part of the sleeve. Now that I've gathered this area to match with the same measurement with where I'm going to be stitching it in, I'm going to sew this in, and after doing that, you should have something like this. And I'm going to give you a little clue on how to join the sleeves together. Now while joining the upper part and lower part of the sleeve, you have to first of all hold up this part of the decorative part of the sleeve like this, and then join it with 1/2 inch to each other. Now you pull it down, and the rows will cover the seam line, and the beauty will be obvious. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, because I enjoyed it too. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and if you're yet to subscribe, please click the subscribe button below and turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss any of our tutorials right here. And please guys, check out my other videos on this channel as well. I'll put the link for all the featured tutorials on the description box below. See you guys in my next. Bye.